Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining me tonight on School Sojourn. Jeff Turner will not be with us tonight because he has a daughter who has a uh, lead role in one of my favorite Broadway plays, Into the Woods. And tonight is the premiere of the show. So he is exactly where he belongs, where he should be, doing what he should be doing. And it's uh, it's for the best because this is an opportunity for me to connect directly with each one of you in kind of a cerebral conversation. So that said, class is in session, and tonight's subject is hello, Lori. Tonight's subject is Caregiving 101. Hi, Denise. Such lovely souls you are. Anybody that follows this broadcast regularly or knows me personally or even follows the World Awakening, Jonathan, knows that I have been in Georgia for many months now. I arrived here as fast as I could after my mother was injured in November, late November. And I've been here since December 4th. And I don't know when I'm leaving or, when I go back to my home in Florida. That is all completely up in the air and in the hands of the universe. What I do know is that under no circumstances would I leave my mother or my sister, who has been her primary caregiver for years. Under no circumstances would I leave her alone to deal with some of what we've had to face in recent months. It's been something that I've been very open and honest about. And I really, the more I think about it, I'm a fierce advocate and a defender of my mother's privacy and her dignity, but with her permission. I'm talking about this tonight because I know I can count on more than two hands worth of fingers the people that I know personally right now who are doing precisely what I'm doing. And even more who've been through this. Their names and their faces are just rolling through my mind right now. There's something sacred about caring for the one who gave you life. It is, thank you, John. Thank you. Thank you, honey. Candace, absolutely understand. I know you do. It's a time of great spirituality, really, for all of us in the family. A time that we have to dig deep to find a place where we can get grounded and centered. And women in particular have a marked proclivity for being the caboose that's kind of pushing the train from behind, but still bringing up the rear end. We will give of ourselves and give of ourselves until there's nothing left to give, and we forget to recharge our own batteries. We forget to give ourselves some time to cope with and process what's happening. We don't know what it looks like. We don't know if mom will recover from this or not. She doesn't know. So how could we? But what I do know is that my my love and devotion and adoration of her um, is well, it just nothing else matters. I need to know that I've done everything in my personal power to make her time as peaceful and comfortable and full of love and light as I can possibly muster. And I can't let myself go into dark space. That said, I spend an inordinate amount of time in dark space. And that time is spent, as it is with many others, privately, completely alone in my own thoughts. And you know, when you are sad to the soul, when your soul is weary, when breathing is a burden, but you know you have to go on because you have a very, very important job to do, and you'll only get to do it once, it becomes sacred. So, for those, and you all know who you are, and I will send this to a number of people who might not actually be watching tonight. One who I know isn't because he's got his own show at the same time I do. I think that it's important that we spend a little time together and that we talk about the sacred nature of caregiving. It's not a full time job, it is an all the time job. It precludes all else. And, you know, I, for one, am not prepared to relegate my relationship with my mother to past tense status. Yeah, think of ourselves last. Yes, yes, so true. You know, we let our, um, yep, and then dig some more, Heather. Yes, absolutely right. That's absolutely right. Um, I can't relegate my relationship, my present tense relationship with my mother to the past. I love you too, Brady. Um, I can't, I can't put that into the category of photographs and memories. I can't. I'm not ready. I'll never be ready. Under any circumstances will I be prepared. So, what I have to do, to the exclusion of all else, is focus all of my energy and intention and attention that I can muster for the woman I love most. So that said, and you can tell this is difficult. I don't usually struggle for words. I, rarely have pauses while I'm talking. I'm, trying to choose my words carefully so that they will resonate on a higher vibration with those who are watching, and trying really hard not to cry because the tissues are over between the recliners. That was the one thing I forgot to do, is to bring the tissues over to my table, to my space here. So I will do my best. I promise you not to lose it. But tonight, the second half of our 2 hour slot here on KGRA is my show, A World Awakening. And tonight, these, like last week when I had Jeff on for both hours and the shows kind of blended together, it will be like that again tonight as well. And what we will be focusing on A World Awakening is mental health and how to get centered and stay centered. And all of these things feed in together with each other, because you've heard me say 1,000 times, probably ad nauseum, everything is one thing, everything is energy. And so Erin's going to join me in the second hour, and anyone who wants to hop in during World Awakening and express any comments or anything that they care to share, even if it's something that you heard tonight and you want to think about it, and then get in touch with Lynn Ann Bowling. She's my admin. She and Bill monitor all the chat rooms to the best of their ability. I don't know how either of them do it, but they do it. And they put up messages for me, and particularly important commentary that very often leads to another higher level of discourse. So I absolutely welcome it with open arms. And for those of you, Marie, thank you. No, it's not, honey. It's not. And I know, and it is perpetual exhaustion. I could never leave Christine. Um, Let me read what Candace has to say. When you at my home, micro hyper focused. Yes, I uh, I agree, Candace, and you and I have talked about this personally as well. Um, I told both of my parents many years ago. Um, well, that's just the strangest thing. An animal just ran through my room. Oh, that's so strange. It's okay. That was really strange. Our cat Bonnie Blue Eyes, who passed away a couple of months ago, just ran right in front of me. Just okay, all right. So okay, these things happen, I guess. Well, they happened to me. That was so strange. I can't wait to tell Christine. Oh my God, she's in the other room. She's gonna be like, "What?" She's like, my house wasn't haunted until you came. And, that's probably true. Um, so, anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to carry through this notion of healing and finding a way to be of complete, utter service. Chris and I work very well together. I get up very early in the morning. I'm checking on mom throughout the night. I sleep usually an hour and a half to 2 hours. I get up, I go check. If everything is copacetic, then I can go lay down for a little while, and then get up again. And then by 6:30, I'm up, which buys her some time to sleep. Then when she gets up, I usually sneak in a nap in the afternoon. Um, and I have I'm free to do that. I told my parents long ago that they would never be in a situation where they had to be in assisted living or a nursing home or anything like that. That was not, and there are some people, I'm not passing judgment on anyone that has no choice but to place their parents in care that is constant, that they cannot provide because they have jobs and they have families of their own. And, it's, you can't, this is, like I said, an all the time job, 24/7. So there are many, many people who would love to have their parents with them right to the end, and they can't. And my heart breaks for them, because as much as it might seem like they got off easy, you live with that your whole life. I know people who have told me that. I had no choice. It was beyond my ability to care for my parent. They needed more medical treatment than I could provide. Um, we've got mom on hospice palliative care. So as often as they are needed, the nursing staff that works, she has a whole team. As often as they are needed, or if we have a question or a concern, or we've worked very closely with these extraordinary women, um, and they'll drop everything and get here lickety split. If they think that Carolyn is in need, they're madly in love with her. All of them are. I don't know how they do what they do. I don't. I know that I could not. But one of the things that I have discovered, the self-discovery, the lessons that I'm learning in this one-shot deal that might go on for weeks or months or even years. My whole life is on hold. My whole schedule is rearranged. Uh, my little dog, Peanut Butter, she's right here next to me, loves being here, even when it's cold in Georgia, because, of course, her boyfriend, Sammy, lives with mom and Christine. So when they're together, all is right with the world. So as far as she's concerned, we could just stay here forever. But I've got a lot of things on hold, and my travel schedule is scaled way back this year for obvious reasons. I don't know what's coming. None of us ever know what's coming. But I think that it's incumbent upon us to at least attempt to be prepared if we're in a position to do so. And I am in a position to do so. I can say no to different events. I haven't signed a single contract for upcoming events this year that does not give me an out in case of a family medical emergency. There it is. I mean, you hear the phrase all the time, family first, family first. Well, I'm living proof that your life can go on and it can be all built around family first. And someday I'll look back on this time with peace in my heart, knowing that I did everything humanly possible to make my mother know, not guess, not question, know that she's the center of my universe, her and my dinky dog right here. Of course, the dinky dog is also the center of my mother's universe, so that works out really well. The lessons. I think that one of the greatest lessons that any of us can ever learn is to give of ourselves to such an extent that we have nothing left, and then to find out that we can dig deeper and actually there is something left. But we also have to learn that if we do not care for ourselves, there really won't be anything left for the one who we give our love and our tenderness and our affection to when they need us the most. That said, I've been pondering lately the notion that part of what I've always described as, this plane of action, this planet Earth that we share, um, is a classroom of sorts, soul school, how we grow our souls. And it seems counterintuitive to think that, your soul can be in so much pain and, just suffering the grief of pre-loss is a real thing. Um, so the more I've thought about this, especially in recent weeks, especially because a couple of weeks ago I had to go away for 4 days. I was in Ohio and Michigan, and I talked about that on last week's show about feeling guilty about going and being with my paranormal people and having fun and enjoying myself, and lots of external hugs and kisses and getting out of this house for the first time in months, because it was my first event of the year, and making all the arrangements so that Christine was not alone dealing with anything. Thankfully, my sister Cindy just lives a couple of miles away, and she made herself um, totally available for my absence from the house, which is the only reason that I could go. If we couldn't have made those arrangements, then I would have had to cancel my trip. And I'm glad that I went, because not only did I get to spend time with Lynn and Jeff and John and Jessica and so many other people who came in, Sean and Amy, and I mean, the list goes on and on and on of, people that, made a point of getting to Heather and Chad's phenomenal Midwest Paracon event. It was just great. And I needed it. It was like getting, plugged in and recharged. And it was, some would say, "Oh my God, I watched what you were doing, and hour after hour after hour, and you must have been exhausted. And then you got up and you lectured, and then you came back in, and an hour after hour." But it inspired me. It lifted me up. I was with other loved ones who understood, and in the case of John, who's been very open, has functioned as a caregiver for his mother, who passed away a couple of years ago, and full time, with his mom and his dad. I get it. I totally get it. Uh, it's the greatest gift, I think, that you can ever give to another person. Um, and when that person is the one that brought you into the world and raised you, and you had the glory of two parents that lifted you up and took care of all of your needs as an infant, and made sure that you were fed and kept warm, and uh, a roof over your head, moved mountains for whatever it took to raise a child. I've not done it. So I've seen it, but I've not done it. But now I feel, in a way, like there's been a certain kind of a role reversal. Like I'm the mother, um, who is nurturing this frail and fragile, small person who needs me all the time, needs Christine, needs Cindy, needs Nancy all the time. Nancy can't be up here, so she's in Florida, and so she checks in every day, but she can't be here. So I'm here for her. I'm here for Cindy until Cindy is here for me. I'm, sharing this with Christine, and people always say it's not a burden, it's a privilege, it's an honor, it's my pleasure. If we're going to be really honest, it is a burden. But it's a burden that we bear willingly. And what we learn, I think, as we go through this process, what some would call end of life, or elder care, has lots of different labels, but we all know that it ends in loss, in the most profound loss you'll ever feel. What I have learned is to appreciate even the dark space. When I feel a deep depression, I let myself feel it. I allow it in, and I let myself feel that sense of grief building and building. I know it will eventually have an outlet and an outpouring that will release me from its shackles. But right now, I am bound to this process, and absolutely willingly to the exclusion of all else. I think that the greatest lesson that we can learn in soul school, hands down, no competition, is this: what I'm going through right now, and what so many of you have gone through or will endure in your future, should you be in a position to do for your parents what I do for mine. And it's not just mom, it's dad too. You know, my father's down in Florida and he counts on me, and I can't be there right now. So it's a lot of phone calls and checking in and making sure that he gets to his VA appointment, and making sure that, he's got somebody that's watching out there for him, or several people that are checking in with him regularly, so that I know he's doing okay. And it's a lot of pressure. It's like living inside a pressure cooker, but somebody turned the valve and it's just building up, building up, building up. And if you don't release that pressure valve, at least now and then, and give yourself a chance to breathe, it's going to explode. And a lot of what we talk about on World Awakening tonight will be about that tipping point, that precipice. I think that one of the things that we learn through a process like this is how much we can handle, how strong we really are when push comes to shove and you need to dig deep into that well of human emotion. And you feel everything. I mean, I don't know how many of you were watching last week, but about 15 minutes before, I was sitting right here. So you remember, recognize all my books and all my stuff. Um, and last Friday, it was a beautiful day here in Georgia, and I was sitting out on the back deck, just gathering my thoughts and preparing to do the shows with Jeff that night. I had scheduled to do both shows because they were so interrelated. It just seemed the most logical thing to do. We both had a lot to say on the subjects that we tackled. So I was going through my mind thinking, how I want to approach this or that. And I suddenly had a premonition. I don't have them frequently. So when I do, I pay very close attention, because I've never, ever had a premonition that didn't come true. Now, I don't know if that's the power of the mind creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. I really don't know. I'm not being hyperbolic or sarcastic or anything like that. I'm not. I mean, I literally don't know if, thoughts or things, if I actually created the scenario where this happened. But if you saw the show at about 11:15, we had an incident here. And as I was sitting out like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I saw it happen in my mind's eye, that there was something was going to happen while I was doing the shows. And of course, I don't want that, because it's live and it goes out all over the world. And I always try to be as professional as I can muster for somebody who doesn't give a flying fuck about much. So anyway, that said, I got up and I came in the house and I went and found my sister and I told her. And I said, Chris, I've got this very strong feeling that there's going to be a problem tonight while I'm doing the shows, and I need you to be available and ready. I've got my phone right here set to text. Um, and then everything went fine for 1 hour and 45 minutes. And I thought, wow, okay, great. And then all of a sudden, my mother, who requires a wheelchair to get around, starts walking into the dining room that I can see right here and opens the baby gate that we keep for the cats and the dogs. And it's a long story. But anyway, opens the baby gate. She's got Sammy with her, and she's heading for the door over here, which has steps down to a solid concrete carport. It's tripping up those steps with an armload of wood because she was not patient enough to wait for Christine to make her a fire last in the wood stove last November that put her in the position that she's in now. My heart came up into my throat. And I immediately started texting. If you see my eyes moving around, I'm looking at my mother, I'm looking at the phone, I'm looking at my mother, like wanting her to mind meld with her. And she's not looking at me at all, like she doesn't even see me in the room. She's making a beeline for the door to walk the dog. And she can barely stay upright and walk herself. I was in a complete, utter, total panic. Now, some of my very nearest and dearest, Linny among them, said, couldn't notice it, didn't know, I don't know how you covered, but you did. Christine came running and stopped her before she fractured her skull, falling down the stairs onto the carport. And I would have had to, if Chris couldn't get here fast enough, I would have had to say, please excuse me a moment, and literally physically stop her from doing something that was obviously life-threatening as getting up and going to the bathroom unattended, because she could trip and there's the tub. 24/7. Well,
I have to jump in.
Oh, I know, Bill, huh? I told you about that right after it happened. After we went off the air and you came on and you're like, Annie, are you okay? Because you know me so well. You knew there was a problem here and that my prediction was coming true. Whoa.
The thing is, we all have each other's backs.
Yeah.
We all care for each other like family.
Yes.
I mean, if I have to come, I'll come on and do what I have to do in an emergency in a situation like that. Listen, a show is not the priority. I'm sorry. I tell this to everybody, and people shake their heads. The show is not the priority. Our families come first.
Our love,
our health comes first.
Yeah.
Our lives, our personal issues that we deal with every day come first.
Yeah.
And if you have to go and say, Bill, come on, like Tony, Tony B.
Yep, Tony, right there, the man behind the curtain, the magic man. Yep. Well, so are you. I mean, you function in the same exact capacity, and you always have my back. And I'm so grateful. You're the reason, you and Tony are the reason why all these months I've been able to continue doing the show. And this is respite from me. This is a couple of hours of trying to make a difference, have a positive impact in the world, talk about relevant issues with our viewers. I mean, look at the beautiful comments that we're getting tonight from so many people who get this.
Every comment, I was telling them, I can't put all your comments on the screen. I'm going to end up distracting Annie from the show. But for those that don't know, Annie communicates with a lot of people. We have conversations, and they can get very intense and deep and personal.
Yeah.
And, she has such a big soul. I mean, such a positive light soul. And I told her this, and I'm going to reveal, I said, Annie, you have to take care of yourself. You've got to look out for yourself, because she is the light.
Oh, you're so sweet, honey.
But I was telling you in private, because she has to take care of herself. She's not going to do anyone no good if she's not taking care of herself. She can't even rest. You folks don't even know what she's going through. Because she loves the love of family, the commitment. I cannot say enough about what she's doing, but a lot of us go through it.
A lot of us do. A lot of us do. And I think it's, Bill, I really do think it's the greatest gift that we can give of ourselves, but it is also a gift to us. It's a gift to us. It's reciprocal. It's proof that the universe really is, not just cause and effect, not just linear, but cyclical, like Jeff and I were talking about last week. And in that process of being with, I know you take care of your mother. I know,
That's why I went like this.
I know. She is so lovely. Elizabeth is so lovely. And you've met my mother, Carolyn. Everybody in my family, I think, except Nancy. But that said, how tight knit we are. And I would move mountains. I mean, I would literally, with a spoon, shovel mountains out of the way to get to my mother.
Mhm.
Thankfully, Christine just walked through the kitchen on her way over to check on Mom. She's like, I am not going to let that happen to you again, because she knows that. I mean, it took me an hour or two. The adrenaline surge that passed through my physical vessel when that happened last Friday night, literally caused me to break out into, I had a physiological reaction. I broke into a full body sweat. My heart was racing and pounding. And, Christine ran and got me like a cool rag to cool my face down. When the show was over, I could barely breathe. I was so upset that that had happened, because we thought we had this covered. And yet, that's one of the things that you have to learn when you're a caregiver, is that you can have surprises. You can have things that suddenly, you're sitting there in your studio right now. What if Elizabeth trips? And then boom, you're out of that seat and you're right to your mom.
But
And
here's
the
the thing.
same can happen with me.
Here's the thing. And this is what I tell people. And trust me, I have my flaws. I get angry. Not much. I try to, keep myself.
I think you're just sweet as sugar.
But it's human nature. Sometimes I can feel my temper can flare up, and I take it out on people. I mean, that's just human condition. But here's the thing. I don't care if you have issues with your family members or friends or estranged people. That my message is simple. I don't tell the people that you care for that you love them.
Yes.
I don't care if it's somebody that you had an argument with and you no longer talk to them because of issues, whatever the issues are. I would at least say, no matter what happens moving forward, I will always love you.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, in an instant, life can change like that. And I would rather be in peace with myself, knowing that I was more of a person of positive energy, of love, compassion. And another thing too is ego, or thinking I'm right, like the other person's wrong. That doesn't even matter anymore. It's the point that at least I said to the person, because you never know. You never know what can happen in life. Something can happen to me, but I want to take the high road. I think we need to do more of this in society.
Yeah, we need to advocate for each other.
Absolutely.
And not just our family and our close circle of friends. But
the other day, true story. I didn't mean to cut you off, but the other day I was at the pharmacy getting my medication, and there was an elderly woman that was getting out of the car with, like a walker.
Right.
And I'm a stranger. I went up to the car, opened the door for her, and I actually helped her to the door to get in. And I said, "Are you okay?" And that's, people today are like, why is this person? Why is this person out of nowhere helping me? Maybe because they're not accustomed to that anymore. Back in time, decades ago, that was common practice. People would
It
help each other.
was. People would help each other, and it was automatic. You know,
Automatic.
it
It
was
wasn't
just
about the Boy Scout walking. See, people hear that story, the Boy Scout walking the grandmother. That's a lesson. That's a lesson that
a life lesson, and it grows the soul. It feeds the soul. That's the thing. When you lead with love, always lead with love habitually. Like it's not even something that you think about. It's just who you are, what space you occupy in any given moment. When that is your unique approach to all others, it grows the soul. It's what I think we're here to learn. I think we have animals in our lives to teach us what unconditional love looks like, so that when it comes time, that is what is required of you. Pure, true altruism without expecting anything in return to give of yourself. That is what is part of our unique individual spiritual ascension. And people are afraid to make contact now. And we'll discuss this in the next hour with Erin. People are afraid. They don't want to be, falsely accused of, oh, don't take my wallet. I mean, that's what we're living in now. No, I'm just trying to help you with your groceries. I don't want anything from you. Just pop the trunk and let me help you. And they're automatically suspicious because people don't behave that way anymore.
It's so true, because it's like when I first moved here 15 years ago, I always went to the neighbors. Do you need my help? Because they're elderly. Do you need my help with anything? And the son said to me, they're wondering why you're doing what you're doing. Like, what's the catch? What's your agenda?
You're my neighbor.
That's exactly what I do. That's exactly. You're my neighbor.
My neighbor.
I'm gonna look after my neighbor. And another true story, when we had the tornado, and I had people here that sometimes they appear in this chat. And I had, and people were coming for Pine Bush, but I cleaned the front of the property. My next instinct was to check on my neighbors, make sure they had food, water, medicine, gas in the generator, got it all started for them. To me, I'm a person that likes to look out for other people more than sometimes my own self.
Yeah.
Which can be a flaw, because we all need to take care of ourselves, because no one's going to do it for you. You must do it for you.
Yeah.
It's not a selfish thing.
It's but it is self-love. Exactly. And, how can you properly love someone else to the depth and the breadth of your being if you don't love yourself?
Totally.
It starts in the center of our own soul and spreads. True light comes from within. It's essential to us.
Mom, I'm on with Annie live right now on the show. Mom's walking in. I'm letting everybody know this is what happens. But you know what, Annie, because I've made horrible mistakes in my life. But
everybody has. If you've lived long enough, you've really screwed something up along the way. Period.
It doesn't. Whatever happens in the past is the past. But I do everything in my power every day to do good.
Yes.
Onto others, to myself, to anyone I know. That's just the way I'm going to be. Yeah. Tonight, out of nowhere, I saw my neighbor in the backyard with the truck, and he's dumping sand out. And I'm not well. I got still dealing with the RSV. I ran out there and I jumped on the truck and was helping him. I didn't have to do that. I could have sat here and, okay. But no, that's my neighbor.
Bill,
I did that. Mom could tell she's right here. I did it, and they're like, "Where are you going?"
I feel you have a good heart.
You hear, Mom? I have a good heart. But the thing is, the bigger picture is positive love energy attracts the same thing.
Right.
Negativity doesn't like that.
It's the law of attraction.
Like
Yes.
when you were just talking, you almost make sometimes when like I'm in the background, it's the words you say gets me emotional because it hits the heart. And I think a lot of people that are watching this know exactly what I'm saying because they can relate to what you're saying on a personal level, on a human level, on a love level, on a soul level.
Because we speak light language. We do. We speak light language. And people that gravitate to this broadcast, to a world awakening, and to, there you have a lot of people. You've got the bishop, you've got Ken and George, we've got Deb, we've got people here who are like-minded. We all know and love each other. We're all interconnected. We're one big freaking family. And I know who George is taking care of his father right now. John, with his mother, and his dad. They're Candace, Lenny, we're all feeding each other the support, the kindness, the compassion, but even more so than that, by having a forum in a place like this where we can really dig deep into not only what we're doing, why we're doing it, how we're doing it, who needs to reach out to someone else and, be that hand, that lifting up in a time when we're feeling the darkness. I don't believe anybody that says, oh, yeah, yeah, it was, pretty easy. We got through it. It wasn't so bad, No, it goes right to the center of your soul. You are literally caring for and loving and protecting the person, or in the case of the mother, literally the person that gave you life and then nurtured and protected you as an infant. And when that comes full circle, you can hear other people talk about their experiences ad infinitum, but until you live it, until you experience it, it's almost like a club of people who get together, who have this shared experience that is so profound, so life-altering, so perfect and painful and full of love and grief and loss.
This is what it's about, Annie.
I know. There she is.
This is
a lot of kisses.
And folks, you need to do this with the people you love more often. This is so important just to do this.
Before.
Of course you've seen her.
You have.
Yeah,
Come here. Come here, hug.
She's a good person.
She is. And that's all right. You gotta let go. I'm live on the air, but that's what it's about.
The dog got in on the hug too.
He gets jealous. He gets jealous.
Yes,
so does she. So does she. When I'm rubbing my mother's back, she wedges herself.
She's live, Bob.
Right between us. Like, why are you touching her when you should be touching me?
Yes. Mom is like a big fan of yours. She's recognizing you. She's like, that's why I'm trying to Ma, go that way.
When you were talking and the dog came, I said, get away to the little dog. She was talking. I watched her.
Yeah, because she watches your show.
Yeah.
And she's talking about, the peanut. Yeah, she's talking about peanut.
He's there?
Yeah, now look at this one. Look.
Oh my God.
And look at this one, the jealous one.
And this
Look
is
how
the-
he's got his. He's on.
This is the
He's
jealous one.
right
She
there.
is. She's very possessive.
So
Very.
is this one on me like this.
It's my
But anyway,
bad.
we got like 3 minutes to wrap up.
I
But-
know. And
Oh.
then I have to get Christine out here to flip us over to the other show because I don't know how to use her damn Apple computer.
The thing I say, my message is this: take time to tell the people you love that
Yes.
you love them.
Yes.
Give them a
Don't
hug.
put it off. Don't put it off. Don't.
It is so critical. I mean, that's what family, that's what friends, that's communities. We all need to come together.
Yes.
Despite our differences, respect to disagree. I mean, we all aren't going to agree on everything. That's what makes us individuals, and agree to disagree. But we need to respect each other, come care for each other, love each other, because we're all in on this together.
And family.
We are.
Family should
We
be-
can,
We
you know.
are.
Anyway,
Tell her right now.
I know, Mom. She doesn't understand that we're on a live show
I
that's
know.
broadcast everywhere.
Oh,
But anyway, I'm gonna also. You can wrap this up and say end the session here for Soul School.
Yes.
To all of you out there, and his name is Tycho, my dog, by the way. So
Tycho.
Annie, it's all yours. I'll see you on the flip side with Erin. And folks, don't forget, Erin Bush is going to be on with Annie for a World Awakening in a few minutes. So I need to say goodbye.
Okay, you say goodbye, and I will say good night to our viewers. And I thank you so much for joining us tonight. And I hope that in some way, my experience and that is shared with so many of my close friends at this time, you know, it stands to reason we're all basically roughly the same age. And so this is something that many of us are facing simultaneously. And, you know, thank God that we've got this extended support group that we can share our thoughts and our feelings. Don't let yourself be isolated in your caregiving. Giving of yourself is a beautiful thing, but love yourself enough to give to yourself. And as I close out every session of Soul School, I leave it with you in your tender, loving care. Class dismissed.